It's the end of 2020, a year that we could have never predicted. I wanted to take a few moments and just share my vision forward for 2021. Now, what I've come up with is something I call my personal campaign of 2021. And I challenge everybody else out there to think of something very similar for yourself, just something about you, something that you do have control over to challenge yourself to work on as we go into this new year. So for my personal campaign of 2021, I came up with a theme. And my theme is back to my roots as a young Marine, the first job I had when I was in combat, which was route clearance, dismounted with my mine detector, looking for IEDs, enemy munitions. So the theme is route clearance, and it's called Master What You Can Control and Understand What You Can't Control. And I really want to be efficient with my energy. If one thing 2020 taught me was, look, there's a whole lot I can't predict out there, but if I can get everything together in my 5'11", 215-pound self, you know what? That's where I have control. And myself is how I can also learn how to master myself to also influence and support others outside of self. So came up with 5 things for my theme. The first one, I got this saying from Dusty Baxley, my third guest on my podcast. So I've been working virtual and I haven't been consistent with getting up. So my first one is 5 a.m., come alive. 05, come alive. So thanks, Dusty. My second one, small investments in the future self. I got this from Chase Hughes, who was my 4th guest on my podcast. It's something I had learned from him earlier in 2020 on a different podcast that he was on. He talked about the 3 selves, past, present, future. And the big one that stuck out was investing in the future self. Now, one thing that I've learned to do in my instructor experience for the last 11 years for government organizations is to utilize third-person perspective to think about myself in the future. So for instance, if I'm doing a large presentation and I know what's coming up, like a large keynote speaking thing, what I like to do is I like to go see the stage, or if I can't go see it in person, I try to look up a picture of the stage, from a Google search or whatever. And I try to see that stage and visualize myself standing on it in third-person perspective instead of that stressful situation, which is first-person perspective, where you feel the emotions more. Third-person perspective, let me kind of take the emotions out of it. Okay, so that's number 2. Thanks, Chase, on that one. Number 3, I've never been a big reader. Okay, being dyslexic and having learning issues as a young child and changing schools so much from 5th grade to 12th grade as a young kid, I changed schools almost every year. I never felt comfortable reading out loud, especially in classes. And so reading is one thing that I want to do more of. Now I'm also in school right now, back in school at ODU. So I'll be doing a lot of schoolwork, but I have challenged myself to read a book a month. So Jason Van Camp, who's a future guest on my podcast, thanks for that challenge of the book reading things. Once a week, something I'll get to once I get school out of the way, but once a month is my true goal for 2021. And number 4, continue planning my workout the day prior and writing it down. So I've been very open about losing one of my best friends this year to their own hand, my uncle, who's a Green Beret medic during Vietnam. He was in heavy combat. He was in 5 helicopter crashes. 2 of them, he was the only survivor. He was shot twice. I wear his KIA bracelet from one of his brothers that fell out of his hands as they were extracting him off a hot LZ. My uncle was the last one to touch him. My uncle lived a lot of survival guilt, but his body was shutting down. And one thing I was always appreciative of was he used to always try to work out and just be consistent. And before he killed himself, I actually started doing that myself. being more invested into working out, which I've always done, but I've had injuries throughout my life. And now that my Achilles is healed and I can run for the last couple of years, I've been running a lot. But what I started to do, I also got a pull-up bar in early summer. And I started planning my workouts today that I would do tomorrow. So I planned the workout the day before. And it really helped me have something to look forward to, especially with COVID being so ridiculous for work and just the inconsistency it brought our lives, for kind of taking away our options for doing things. So I was doing these workouts, planning them the day before, doing them the next day, and I was looking forward to them. And I got in that habit. Discipline is something you might need a little bit of to create that habit. And then that habit's what really keeps you going for that long-term growth. But my uncle took his life at the end of July. And if it wasn't for the workouts that I was planning during that time when that happened, because I was just crushed. Me and my family were crushed when he did this. Those workouts really kept me going and having something to look forward to. So I'm going to keep that going. That's one thing in 2020 I started that I'm going to keep going. And number 5, work on hacking the social cognitive bias, AKA I call it team growth bias, which are 5 things that I pulled, and I'm taking these from you, Chase Hughes, which are confidence, discipline, leadership, gratitude, and enjoyment. So I want to try to work on those 5 things for number 5. Again, confidence, discipline, leadership, gratitude, enjoyment. And I think if I can learn how to master those 5 things, my 5'11", 215-pound self, that's how I build the team around me, because those 5 things are other things that people love to flock to and be part of. So I don't want to have followers. Never liked that term. I want to have team members. Because just like in the Battle of Fallujah, the way that we got that heavy friggin' combat done, and we set up those elections the next month for those Iraqis for the first ever free elections in 2005, we got that done with shoulder to shoulder work. And that's the kind of team I want to create and build going forward with my business, my personal life, and my family. And 2021 is the year I'm going to do it. So I challenge you all out there. Let's get it done. Okay. Let's be open, post some more videos of yourself, be vulnerable, because vulnerability is really how you can see yourself, okay, outside of your first person perspective. Okay. Be vulnerable, challenge others, be kind, have gratitude, and be humble for what you do have. Okay. And don't strive to have more physical things. Strive to have more love in your heart for humanity. All right. Happy New Year.